Hey friends, welcome back. This is Real Estate Bites number 23. My name is Jonathan Wright. I'm the head coach of Wright Sales Team here at Russell Real Estate Services. And we are back for the 23rd episode of Real Estate Bites, where we bring to you every Friday at noon some local real estate statistics, as well as a bit of news, whether it's industry related or, it's a little more local news. But in the end, it's all going to be something that should or would affect real estate here in Lorain County, Ohio. I do have a lot of watchers that are not just out of county, but out of state as well. And this one's going to be hyper local. So for that, I'm sorry, but you know what? There's still something to learn in all these things. Even though I'm going to be talking about Lorain County again specifically, these things happen in communities all over the country. So something similar is likely happening in your community. And if not, it probably should. Certainly if you want to see progress in your local area. Nevertheless, this is the last Real Estate Bites of 2023. And, I kind of wanted to do one like a end of year wrap up, something like that. But hey, I've only been doing this show for 4 months, so I haven't even done it a complete year. I tried to find statistics that reflected the entire year. But most of the statistics that I could find were incomplete. They either ended or wrapped at the third quarter. I have not able to find a whole lot of real-time statistics like the ones that I bring to you every single week. I do get stats through the MLS, but it's just most of them you see. I kind of weeded out what I thought is the less important statistics, the less that have an impact on real estate here, and try to bring you information that is a little more relevant to the day-to-day goings on in real estate here in Lorain County. All right. 2023 was awesome. I can tell you, I want to send a big thanks out to everyone who supported me. I started a sales team in June. It's taken off. The agents are growing. The agents are getting better and better. They're selling. And I've got a wonderful team of agents. Amidst that, I still had my best year personally, beat my sales goals by 9%. It was just a fantastic year. And I want to thank all the friends, family, clients, customers who have helped me get there. Thank you guys so much. So that wraps up 2023. Let's get into the last week of statistics in 2023. Okay, here we go. Share this full screen. Let me zoom in for you guys a bit so it's easier to see. All right. So currently on the market in Lorain County, there are 386 single-family homes. That also includes condominiums. Last week, there were only 43 closings during the course of the week. Makes sense. Heading into Christmas and then through New Year's, this is the slowest time of the year, right? But nevertheless, 43 closings last week. The median home value of those closings was $232,500. Average square foot price was $138.07. Now, this next stat line, I talked to you guys last week about how I've been tracking which communities you've seen the most home sales, and all but, what was it? All but week 3, every other. So the other 22 episodes of Real Estate Bites that I've done, either Elyria or Lorain has been the top community for the number of units sold during that week, which makes sense, of course, because they are the two most populous cities in Lorain County. And so I decided that's most likely always going to be the case. Every once in a while, you might have another community pop in there like Avon Lake did in week 3. But you know what? Even when that happens, it's really not that exciting, is it? So this next stat line, I'm changing. You see 1675 here. That is the median square foot for the units that were sold last week. I thought that was, it gives you a good idea about what the typical size of home being sold in Lorain County is. So I want to touch on why I use median here and why I use median for home value versus an average. And it is because for both home value and square footage, you use the median because that's right in the middle. Median literally means middle of the pack. So in a week where you have 43 closings, I can literally pick the very center value for home value and square footage. And so when you look at those, it gives you a better idea as to what the typical home being sold during that time frame is, right? Home value, you could have 42 homes that sold at or around 500 grand or below, and then you have a $3.5 million monster on the lake that skews everything, right? So by using the median, you take out those outliers. Now with square footage, it's the same thing. You see the median there at 1675. Well, the outlier on this one was on the low end. One of the homes sold was a 600 square foot home, and while they're out there really isn't that many, and it can pull down the average significantly. That said, the top three were well above 3,000 square feet. That also can skew an average, right? So 1,675 square foot was the median square footage sold in the county last week. The lowest value home sale was in Elyria at $44,500. And the highest value home sale was in Avon. There you see it, $750,000. So last week I didn't show you what that top home sale looked like in Avon, because it looked very much similar to the one I had showed the week before. And I'll show you guys this one, and show you the reason why I'm not always going to show, because oftentimes they look just alike, right? So you see this is the top one on Seton Drive here in the city of Avon. 4-bed, 4.5 bath, 5,187 square feet. Also includes 1,500 square feet of finished basement. That should not be included in livable square footage. But with our MLS, they ask for finished below grade square feet, whether it can be considered livable or not. And it can only be considered livable if there is another means of egress out, direct access to the outside, like an egress window or a staircase that leads directly outside. If your only way in and out of this basement is a staircase back up into the living room or kitchen or wherever it's come from, you cannot consider that livable space. Nevertheless, our MLS asks for finished square footage below grade, and when that data populates up to Realtor and Zillow, it adds them both up. So the finished square footage of this home should be 3,687 on a 0.4 acre lot, built in 2020, $145 per square foot, not far away from our average. And this is why I'm not going to show these properties every week, because, man, this thing looks very similar to what I showed 2 weeks ago and to what I showed 3 and 4 weeks ago. I went back and looked at those houses. Very, very similar. Big, beautiful gas fireplace that, has got stonework climbing up to the ceiling. Nice architectural finish on the banister and the rail going up the stairs. The must-have open concept with the stone countertops, Corian or quartz countertops. You've got ceiling high cabinets. The last one I showed also had these glass cabinets up top. You're going to have either hardwood or vinyl plank flooring throughout, muted grays, whites, beige colors. So a lot of them, they look very similar. This is the modern style. Anything being built in the last 10, 15 years, these luxury homes have a very similar look. And so it just, it bores me to show the same thing every week. So I'm not gonna. But there you have a look at this week's top seller at $750,000. Okay. Back into our real estate statistics. Wrong button. Okay. So here we go again with the sale price to list price ratio at 98% for 3 weeks in a row, holding steady there right below 100%. So what we're showing, what we're trending is, again, prices basically staying about the same, maybe ticking down just a touch, but sale price to list price ratio remains right around 100%. So we're not really seeing any movement, either appreciation or depreciation on home values. Okay, last week, just like the week before, there was an average 33 days on the market for homes sold. And the markets opened this morning. A 30-year conventional note opened up at 6.63% interest rate. So those have been very, very steady the past 3 weeks. Going into a month now underneath 7%. And from what I hear regarding news about the Fed and whatnot, it looks like it's going to stay that way through most of 2024 and might even improve a little bit better. We might even see better rates come summertime. So all that being said, let's get into our topic of the day, which is the Lorain County Strategic Action Plan. This plan, the backdrop of it was a survey that opened up in early October, and they put this out on social media. It was out on the county website. They tried a number of different ways to draw attention to it. It didn't work so well. I'm not sure that that's the county's fault at all, or if it's just that people's attention is more firmly locked into their video feed and Facebook and TikTok and Insta, right? But nevertheless, the survey went out early October. It finally closed in December 15th. In late October, the 30th and 31st, they did a think tank session where 100 participants showed up at LCCC, and they sat around and they talked about the future of Lorain County and what people would like to see, what their concerns are, et cetera, et cetera. So I wanted to talk to you guys about that. But it's fascinating research to me. There's a number of things about the survey and the think tank results that really stand out to me. And it's pretty important document, guys. This is how our county is going to shape their policy. The county commissioners and their staff are going to shape their policy about what they prioritize, the money and the partnerships that they pursue, the grant funding that they pursue from state and federal levels, the partnerships with corporations and private funding that they pursue. It is going to be, in a large part, shaped by the survey and the results of this strategic action plan. And that's why they're doing it. They want to collect all this data and do all this stuff so that when they go for grant funding and when they go and prioritize projects, they show this data set to the potential funders and grantors and say, this is why we need these millions and millions and millions of dollars, because the people in our county and in the communities want to see these specific initiatives done. Okay, so let's jump into it. Before we get into this real far, I want to tell you where you can find this information. Okay, so I'm going to put a banner up here that's going to give you, this is the URL down here at the bottom, where you can get access to the survey, the studies, and everything about this Lorain County Strategic Action Plan. This is actually a fantastic source of information. So I'm going to share my screen here so that you can see exactly what I'm talking about. This is the homepage of the Strategic Action Plan. It's very interactive. You can see up here, you can get into the survey. It says data visualization platform, right? So you can look at all these different, here's the demographics of the survey respondents, the charts of, like it says, the current reputation of Lorain County, unique strengths and opportunities, challenges and weaknesses. This is how people responded to this survey. I was one of the respondents to the survey. I did it sometime in early October when I saw it come out on the county website. I wanted to get to the think tank, but work kept me from getting there. I can tell you about this survey here. You know, by the time they did their think tank at the end of October, they had 985 respondents to this survey. Um, per the 2020 census, there's almost 313,000 people, 312,964 people living in Lorain County, and only 985 had responded to the survey by the time they did the the think tank workshop at LCCC. By the time this survey closed on December 15th, they had a grand total of 1,395 respondents. Ladies and gentlemen, that is 0.4% of all people living in Lorain County. That's not 40%, that's not 4%, that is 0.4%. I do not think that is a very strong sample size. Nevertheless, that's all they could get. I saw it. It came in, I believe I saw it in an email that came to me from the county. And I took that survey. It was extensive. There were a lot of questions. It took me over a half hour to complete it, from what I recall. Many questions designed to, it was designed to gauge resident satisfaction with living and working in the county. There was also a number of questions that asked about whether or not the respondents believed there was ample opportunity for growth and an opportunity to thrive in Lorain County, not only as an individual, but as a family, as a business. They talked about what we believed as respondents would be major factors that would affect the county and growth in the county and growth of business and industry and et cetera, et cetera. I mean, just a ton of questions trying to really gauge the perspective that county residents have about what it's like to live there and what we thought would be the major contributing factors to the success or failure of the county. Bear with me a second. I got to put this do not disturb option on here. I got calls coming through. All right. Appreciate your patience. Okay, so the survey was heavily weighted that people said that they were satisfied. That said, the largest number of respondents, when asked if they were concerned, not concerned, mildly concerned, very concerned about the future, the largest number of respondents, now those responses were pretty evenly weighted along the spectrum, but the largest single number was in the very concerned part of the survey, which is interesting. I think it reflects a little bit of that good old Yankee fatalism that we might be used to up here. So with that survey as a backdrop, a think tank of about 100 participants got together at LCCC again, October 30th and October 31st, and they discussed the macro trends that were likely to affect the county going forward. Things like demographics, things like economy, things like climate change. They also were put together to identify what they believed were the key drivers that would affect the county and business development and social cohesion within the county over the next 15 years. They identified this group of 100 identified the top drivers of industrial development in Lorain County. Number one was the impact of LCCC. Now, before I really dive into this, I got to tell you guys, in reading this report, this think tank report, right, I found a lot of word salad, a lot of fancy terms that academics and government people like to use to sound very, very intelligent, but they don't really say much, and they're very vague. A lot of vague descriptions, a lot of vague appellations and topics and whatnot. And you'll see a few of these. This is 2 days of people in a room discussing this stuff. A very, very intense survey. I mean, there's lots of information, and I'm really only touching the surface. When it comes to the survey, I invite you to please go to this website. The whole point of me doing any of this is I would really encourage you guys to go to this website. Again, the URL is right there at the bottom of this. But take a look at this website, and I'll show you. So here are some of the things that are in there, right? When I started reading about this, and these survey respondents, I wanted to see, okay, the people who are answering this, where do they live, right? Are we, and it would look right here like it's kind of skewed that everybody who responded was from either the city of Elyria or the city of Lorain, right? But the reality is this right here is about 39% of the respondents. And the population of the city of Lorain and city of Elyria is 37.7% of the population of Lorain County, right? According to the 2020 census. So this weighting is relatively accurate, right? I also wanted to know what was the age group of the people who are responding to this. Okay. So I went into this website where they have everything about this broken down. And here are the age groups. Now, you can see here that, what is it? 30, 21, 33, 35% really are at or above retirement age, when the reality is in Lorain County, it's really only about 20%. But you have to take into consideration the fact that 20% of Lorain County residents are 18 or younger, and those folks were not included in this survey at all, right? So this is a pretty good distribution of demographics here. So even though it was a terribly, terribly small sample size, I think when it came to representation of location of respondents and age of respondents, it's pretty accurate. Okay. So I really encourage everyone to go to that website below and really dig into this. And I also, as we get through this, would encourage people to be more involved in this kind of stuff. There are people who are going to make major decisions that are going to affect the place where you live, ultimately real estate values, right? Your way of life, your lifestyle, in the future, right? In the years to come. So this stuff's important. At the end of this, I'll also tell you what the next steps are for this Lorain County Strategic Action Plan. All right. So getting back into it, the top drivers of industrial development identified by the 100 participants in this think tank, the top driver, number one, was the impact of LCCC. Okay. Maybe because they're educating kids who are going into the workforce, maybe. Number two, creating a diverse and educated workforce. Number three, industry and business makeup. That's the third ranked top driver of industrial development in Lorain County, according to these respondents, industry and business makeup. Number four was a functioning county government. Now, this one threw me for a loop, guys. Listen, government is necessary. I'm not an anarchist. I am a small government guy, though. Guys, government jobs are non-productive, right? The government takes from us who work in the private sector. They take our money. We don't get a choice. If we don't pay them, they send us to jail. But they take our money in the form of taxes, right? And then they deploy it elsewhere. So if you make the $60,000 median income, right? And they're taking, we'll say 27%. That's about 16 grand. What could you do with that 16 grand? What could you produce for your family with that $16,000. Instead, they're taking it. And so part of that, I mean, most of it goes to the federal government, which we know, but part of this is going to the county, and they're going to take that money from you. Part of that money, they're going to take that money and they are going to decide what they're going to do with it to help shape the future of where you live. That's why this stuff is important. Nevertheless, a functioning county government, I am not sure how that is a major, let alone top 4, driver of industrial development in Lorain County. Nevertheless, the group of 100 identified these 5 top drivers for impacting community direction. Number 1, creating a diverse and educated workforce. Number 2, safe and affordable housing. Number 3, school readiness. Again, that's one of these things. I'm not sure what that means. Obviously, you got to be there in the room on October 30th and 31st to understand what that means. Number 4, the education level of residents. And number 5, access to community resources. So then these 100 participants were then divided into 4 groups, and they were asked to create 4 different possible scenarios or outcomes for the county over the next 5, 10, 15 years based upon these drivers. And I'm not going to get into them. Again, please go read this report. Go to this website, read the report, read these survey responses, read about the next steps. But basically, they came up, the least desired scenario that these folks came up with and identified was titled The Way We've Always Done It. So nothing really changes, and everything sort of stays the same. But if you read the description in this report, everything really just gets worse and worse and worse. The most desired was titled A Unified Lorain County. They talk a lot about focus on childhood development, focus on youth development and education, bringing new cutting edge industry into the county, et cetera, et cetera. All that said, they also then asked the 100 responses what they expect to see most in the next 10, 15 years. And unfortunately, again, once again, reflecting that Yankee fatalism that I'm so used to, the vast majority of the group said they basically expected things to stay the same. Maybe bringing in new innovations to existing industries that are already here, but very few expected to see a whole lot of cutting edge industry or thought going into Lorain County in the future. So what's next for the Lorain County Strategic Action Plan process? Well, we missed most of it. Unfortunately, it started in October. The last thing that they did were they did some countywide workshops, 9 countywide workshops, December 4th and 6th. The next thing that they're going to do, they're going to host February 6th through 9th. They're going to do focus group sessions. Where? I don't know. I'm going to keep an eye out on it. When I find out, I plan to put it on here for you guys to see. In February, they're going to do a follow-up survey, February of 2024, of course. And then in April, they are going to present to the community and to council at the Lorain County Future Summit. They're going to present the new Lorain County Strategic Action Plan for the next 10 to 15 years. All right, guys, that's it. That's a wrap on 2023. Listen, thank you guys once again for being here with me. I appreciate you showing up. I appreciate you watching. Take care of yourselves. Take care of one another. I love you, people. We'll see you in 2024.